All right, hello everyone and welcome. If you're a trainee teacher, you'll know that teaching speaking can be one of the most rewarding parts of the job. And let's be honest, one of the most terrifying. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack a blueprint to help you turn that fear into pure confidence and transform your students from those silent statues into proper, confident communicators.
Right, the silent statues. Every teacher's greatest fear. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? Or at the very least, had a nightmare about it. You've planned this perfect speaking lesson, you stood there at the front of the class, you ask a really simple question, and you get met with nothing. Just absolute, deafening silence. It's that moment every teacher dreads, the moment your lovely students turn into stone.
So, this was the question. A seemingly harmless, friendly question that our trainee teacher, we'll call him Alex, asked his class of 9-year-olds. I mean, it sounds like the perfect conversation starter, doesn't it? But oh boy, as Alex was about to find out, this one little question was about to send his lesson completely off the rails.
And what did he get back? Silence. Just total petrifying silence. The kids were just staring at him, completely frozen. You know the look. Not a single volunteer, not even a whisper. And that feeling, it's just gut-wrenching, isn't it? And right there, in that moment of pure panic, it is so easy for a new teacher to make a massive mistake.
And this graph right here, this shows you exactly what happened next. Alex panicked. Of course he did. And to fill that horrible silence, he just started talking. He started waffling on about his own weekend, his train journey, his dog, what he had for his Sunday dinner, you name it. And before he even realized what was happening, his teacher talking time had shot up to a whopping 90%. He'd completely taken over the lesson that was meant to be all about them speaking.
Okay, so steering into the rocks. Let's try and understand why the lesson failed. So what on earth went wrong here? Well, Alex put it perfectly in his journal. He said he'd steered the ship straight into the rocks. And that's what we've got to do, isn't it? To get better as teachers, we have to become detectives, picking through the wreckage to figure out exactly why it all went pear-shaped.
And the real culprit, the heart of the problem, is something called the affective filter. Basically, it's this emotional barrier that just slams down when we feel anxious or stressed. And by putting those kids on the spot, right in front of everyone, Alex cranked that filter up to the max. They were terrified of making a mistake, so what did they do? They took the safest option available, which was to say absolutely nothing at all.
I absolutely love this metaphor from Alex's reflection. A speaking task, he said, is like hosting a dinner party. You can't just expect your guests to turn up and for a fantastic meal to magically appear. You've got to do the prep. You've got to set the table. But Alex, well, he was asking for this grand finale performance without giving them any of the ingredients or the recipe or even a chance to practice first.
So it really boils down to this. Alex realized he'd committed two cardinal sins that day. First off, he'd turned the lesson into this high-pressure whole-class interrogation. Nobody likes that. And second, as soon as it went quiet, he jumped in and filled the silence with his own voice. He basically stole the time they needed to actually think and put a sentence together.
But the great news is that from the ashes of that disastrous lesson, a brilliant solution emerged. Alex found something called the SKOLA Speaking Blueprint. And trust me, it's a simple, super practical, and unbelievably effective framework for getting your students talking with confidence. So, let's break it down, shall we?
The blueprint is built on this really clear three-stage flow. You can just think of it as before, during, and after. You've got the pre-speaking stage, that's all about preparation. Then the during speaking stage, that's your main activity. And finally, the post-speaking stage is for review and for making sure it all sticks. Simple, logical, and honestly, it just works.
Right then, stage 1, pre-speaking. Let's set that table. Remember the dinner party analogy? This is where we do the prep work. You've got to get them interested, right? So maybe show them a picture or a quick video clip. But the really crucial bit is this: you have to scaffold the language. You can't just assume they have all the words they need. So stick a phrase bank up on the board. You know, useful little chunks of language like I went to or it was really fun because. You're basically giving them the toolbox before you ask them to build the house.
Now for the main event, stage 2.
And this slide just shows the difference so clearly. On the left, you've got the old way, Alex's first attempt, the whole class interrogation. High teacher control, massive student anxiety, and hardly any student talk time, a recipe for disaster. But look at the effective approach on the right. You just put them in pairs or small groups. Suddenly, teacher control is low, student anxiety drops through the floor, and the amount of time each student actually gets to speak just goes through the roof. It is a total game changer.
So, what's your role while all this is happening? Now, this is absolutely vital. Your job is to become an invisible monitor. You step back, you listen in, but you do not interrupt. If you hear a student say something like, "He go to the park," you have to bite your tongue. I know it's hard, but right now the goal is communication, it's fluency. It's not about perfect grammar. Just let them talk.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Stage 3, post-speaking. This is where you cleverly wrap everything up. First, you get students to report back, but here's the trick. You ask them what their partner said. It's a brilliant little technique that forces them to actually listen to each other properly. Then, you can run a delayed error correction session. You just write a few of the common mistakes you heard up on the board, anonymously, of course, and you get the whole class to work together to correct them. It's collaborative and totally non-threatening.
So, after all that, we come to the golden rule, the single most important principle. If you take just one idea away from all of this, please let it be this one.
He who does the talking does the learning. It's as simple as that. In a speaking lesson, the person who should be doing most of the talking is the student, not you. Your job isn't to be the star of the show. Your job is to be the director, the facilitator. Your success isn't measured by how eloquently you speak, but by how much your students do and how confident they are while they're doing it. So I want to leave you with this question. As you're planning your next lesson, just ask yourself, whose voice is going to lead the learning in your classroom tomorrow? Is it going to be yours? Or are you going to finally create the space for their voices to be heard? The choice, really, is all yours.